Hello, everybody.
Hello, Mr. Allen.
Robert Allen here. Welcome to our conversation that we do every Thursday for special people called successful people.
Yes.
And as I say every time, if you're on this call or taking one step towards your dream, then you're already successful because there'll be a constant amount of mountains you'll climb and it will never end for the rest of your life. You'll always be climbing and always learning. And even after this life, you'll still be climbing and learning and growing and gaining more and more knowledge. So it's, as they say, an eternal process of learning. So welcome to Successful People. Somebody mentioned that they had purchased the book of our guest two weeks ago, Benjamin Hardy, Dr. Benjamin Hardy. So who was it that had just finished that book? It just told me that
Tanya.
Tanya, so you finished it. Did you underline anything?
I finished it today.
Yeah?
Sorry?
But did you underline any
Yes, I did.
What did you underline?
Let me have a look.
That's the way I usually read a book.
I did underline several things. Now find it difficult to find it. I wasn't expecting you to ask me.
I'll tell you what, Tanya, you keep looking and find your favorite thought. You can either share it with us this week or next. You can put it into the chat and we'll talk some more about that, everybody. Many of you went and bought a copy of that book. Inside it with lots of great information. Hi, see Charles there. Hi, Werner. Got your email, Werner. Werner's inviting me to go to the base camp of Mount Everest.
Yes.
And Werner was a guest on our call here a few weeks ago. Werner is right there, Werner Berger, who is the Guinness World Book record holder for the oldest person to have climbed the 7 tallest mountains on the 7 continents of the world.
Wow.
And so he wants to take people to the base camp, not to the top of Everest, but to the base camp. How many days did that take, Werner?
10 days on the way in, 3 days on the way out.
So it's 11, it's a couple of weeks you got to commit your life to, right?
Yeah.
But Werner's got a program where he takes people there. Werner is 80, how many years old are you? Young? 83.
Wow.
That's when my
Beautiful.
father passed away, actually, at the age of 83. So I hope I'll be in as fit a shape as you are, Werner, when I'm 83.
We all want to grow up and be like Werner.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? So if you're welcome to climb with Werner. You going next July, next June?
Late April and early May.
April.
Yeah.
So
come play with me and you'll all get younger.
It looks like it.
True. It's absolutely true. Okay, we see Dale, there's Dale, a lot of friends that are involved in our Idea to Income course. I see all my great friends here. And some of you are new. Some of you are brand new, actually. You've just been part of a brand new promotion that we've been doing for the 4MAPS book. And if that was a promotion that you enjoyed, it was through Facebook. There was a clicking on a link to get an almost free book. And some of you have purchased the audio or the video course on the 4MAPS book, and we're given the opportunity to come here on successfulpeople.com. Is anybody in that group here today? If you are, I want to give you a little bonus.
That would be me.
Okay, well, Heshi, did you buy that? Did you buy that, Heshi? Okay, Heshi, you don't need to buy it, Heshi. I'll give that to you for free. Shh. What happens when you have when we have super fans? And I've talked about this before with you. A super fan is somebody who likes what you do, resonates with the way you speak and the way you communicate, and really wants to be part of everything you do, just like I'm part of everything that Tony Robbins does, and a lot of other famous people that I follow. Hold on a second, I'm going to mute everybody. A little noise in the background. Okay. So, at any rate, Heshi is a super fan, and so is Werner, and some of the rest of you on this call are super fans, and so I say hi to you. All right, so today, what do we want to talk about? I got an email today from somebody who was who I am a super fan of. He is somebody that as a marketer, I like to find out what is going on in the marketing world. And so Ryan Deiss is somebody that I follow. And I'm going to share with you the email that I got from him right here. And you'll notice that Ryan, if you can see this, you can see on my email that I have a group of people I call my golden eagles. That's the people that I like to follow. And that means I like to learn what they're doing. I like to learn how they're doing it. How are they promoting themselves? Because these are the best of the best. And so I want to be able to model, to emulate the way that they do it. So that's why I receive emails from these guys and gals constantly. And I don't buy very often, but from time to time I do. It's under what I call golden eagles. Now those are like 20 people that I really respect and admire. And then here you can see the eagles. Now eagles are people that I know the names of, and if I could send them an email, they would know exactly who I am. And I've got hundreds of people there. Those are my eagles. Well, my golden eagles are the ones that I follow. So I am a super fan. Well, I wouldn't call myself a super fan for all of these people because I don't buy everything that they promote. But very often I do spend money. 1,000 here, 1,000 there, 200 here, 75 there. Ryan Deiss sent me an email today, and it said this. See, I've got to find it. Where'd he go? Maybe I didn't drag it there now. Let's see, where's Ryan? Huh. Well, I thought I had dragged it into my e-box. Maybe it's down here lower because it came earlier. There it is. Okay. So he says in this e-box, in this email, he says, if you're like me, you're always looking for the next book that's going to up level your marketing. And if that's the case, I've got a blog post for you. And if you want to read 125 books that every marketer should read. Well, first of all, why is he doing this? First of all, I'm sure there is a lot smaller group of books that he would definitely highly recommend. But there's a lot of books in this list. And what do you see when you see a list like this? Well, let's click on it and find out what he's promoting. Well, first of all, we see, and it's coming up here, it's a little bit slow. Here we go, connecting. And here is his blog post. So remember, we have decided that we want to be successful. Therefore, if you want to be successful, you want to read what successful people have written, and you want to hear what successful people have said, and you want to read books that successful people have, that people have written about other successful people. So here he shares us the list. Now, there's a danger in this list. Let me share with you what I mean by that. When you look at the list, first of all, disclosure. See this right here? It said, this is what every one of you should be doing, by the way. And I haven't yet done it on my webpage. But in the next 30 days, when you go to my webpage, you'll find a list like this for all the books that I strongly recommend, because, read that disclosure right there. Disclosure, the links below are affiliate links, meaning that at no additional cost to you, Digital Marketer will earn a commission if you click through and make a purchase. Well, he's an affiliate of Amazon, of course.
We're not seeing the
So every
list.
time somebody buys a book from this link, he's going to earn a few pennies,
Robert,
maybe more than a few pennies.
excuse me, Robert, I can't see your screen.
Thank you for saying that, because sometimes when I click to another link, it goes away. So please, all of you, if you ever notice that, just type up like she just did. Here is the link that I took, that email took me to. Do you see it? Does everybody see it now? Okay.
Yes, see it now.
So it says that these books now, why have 125 books? Because one of these books is probably going to attract your attention. So if, while you're in the state of reading those books if you want it immediately, then just click on that link. It will cost you the same amount of money, but the little sliver of a royalty will go to, or an affiliate link will go to Ryan Deiss. Now, there are a lot of websites who do this, by the way, who don't make a note like that, who don't tell you that they are an affiliate, that they earn a commission when you click on their link. I like the fact that he promoted it right up at the top. And he says these are all kinds of books that you could read. Classic marketing books, such as Scientific Advertising by Claude Hopkins. Yes, I've read that one. Yes, I've read this one. Yes, I've read that one. No, I have not read this one. Yes, I have read this one. Yes, I have read this one. No, I have not read that one. So as I go down the list, I can see books that I have read. Some of them were, I've never heard of this one, The CIO of My Own Soul. Yes, I have that one. Not have that one. The Automatic Customer. Interesting. See, as you're going through the list, you go, I like that title. And remember, when you write a book, it's the person's going to have to read the title and want the book immediately. So it's got to say enough. The title's got to be good. So The Automatic Customer, that's pretty catchy. The Automatic Customer. Just like The Automatic Millionaire that my friend Harv Eker, no, not Harv Eker wrote. He didn't write that. Who wrote The Automatic Millionaire? I'll think of his name in a second. But anyway, Automatic Customer, kind of not. I'd say maybe if I were to buy that one, then Ryan Deiss would make a little bit of money, right? Here's a Be Like Amazon. I like that. That's interesting. Behind the Cloud, the Branded Nation. Email. Yes, I know Michael Gerber, and I've actually paid tens of thousands of dollars to Michael Gerber over a period of time for him to coach and consult me personally. Good to Great. Yes, I've read that one. Lean Analytics. Haven't read that one yet. Anyway, what I'm sharing with you is you got 125 books, and there's got to be one or two in there that would probably attract your attention. Now, here's the danger with knowledge. See, the danger of reading another book, because there are just too many books.
We used to have dogs like that.
Robert, you're gonna have to mute somebody.
Mute everybody again. Thank you. The danger with having too many books is that you get busy reading too many books. So on my shelf over here, I got 30 books that I read over the last year. These are 30 biographies that I read, and there's lots of information there. Too much information. There's too much information. So I've shared this with some of you before, but let me share it again for the brand new ones that are here. What is the danger of too much information? Let me share that with you. In other words, I would not recommend that you read 125 books. I can understand why he wants you to read them, because he certainly would benefit from it. But I want you to be a little more discriminating, and I want you to say, what are the books you must read? The ones that are just really essential for you to read. And let me share with you this. Hold on a second, there we go. Can you see this picture of this watermelon? Can you see it? Lawrence, can you see it? Laurel, can you see it?
We can see it.
Yes,
Now, this is what I call
it.
the paradox.
Yeah, looks good.
There you go. This is what I call the paradox of knowledge. I learned this actually from somebody else. I'll remember his name. I've borrowed it ever since, and after a while, people think it's mine. Let me share with you. It's not opening up this. Let's see. I want to stop that sharing and try it a different way. Okay. Yeah, here we go. All right, so I'm going to share with you why I think it's really dangerous. Knowledge is dangerous. Why? Well, let me share it this way. If I could get my technology to work, There we go. Now, when you learn something new, your brain has no information about that in it. So when you learn something new, you read a new book, for instance, and you'll find in that new book, new systems, new principles, new ideas, new stories, new things for you to learn. And so you fill your brain up with information on that. I call that P-shaped brain. Your P brain has got a little more information in it now. And all of us, when it comes to the various different ways and various different types of knowledge that are out there, we have a P brain. Now, a college professor would have a larger brain than that, filled with with more of that same information. So what you do is if you get interested in it, you'll go buy another book about it. You'll go to a seminar on it. You'll learn more until you have what I call your lemon brain. A lemon brain is everything you know inside your brain is what you know about that subject, and everything that's outside that lemon rind is what you don't know about the subject. So as you learn more, your brain starts to expand. And so your brain becomes filled with more knowledge, right? So you decide, well, I want to learn more. I want to get good at this, and I'm really passionate about it. I'm interested in it. For example, me, when I got started in my real estate career 40, 50 years ago, I was passionate about real estate knowledge. I went to seminars, I read books. I drove all over the United States to go to seminars in my little Volkswagen to be able to learn as much as I possibly could. And so as my brain got bigger, I went to an orange brain. I'm filled with the amount of knowledge, and everything inside my brain in that area was filled with the knowledge I knew, and everything outside it with the circumference of the orange was represented what I didn't know. So I decided I needed to know more. So what do? In order to get more knowledge, you go get it. And just like Ryan Deiss is offering us 125 books, and I'm sure there's some great books in there, but what I want to ask is, are they classics? Are they the only books you should read? Or not the only, sorry, or they should be the first ones you read, and a few of them you almost memorize because they're that good. And the rest of them in the same area, remember he gave you 4, 5, 8 or 10 different categories of books. There was books on people knowledge and books on, techniques in the stock market and et cetera. There are all kinds of different categories of books. But when you really look at the category and you look at all the books that represent that category, if you're going to go to Amazon, by the way, you could find the category of books on business. And in the business category, there are 500,000 books, And now the category has little niches in it. But the category has so many books, you'd never read them in your lifetime. Impossible. And as we get more and more knowledge and more books are being written, the problem is getting worse. And you might say, well, it shouldn't be worse. The fact that we are learning more, isn't that a good thing, Robert? Don't you want to learn more knowledge, not less knowledge? And what I'm trying to tell you is, no, not necessarily. Can you see the lemon now? I went out and I came back in again. Can you see it? Somebody just unmute themselves, say whether you can see it or not.
No, we can see it. We're looking at you.
Okay, let's do it the other way then. Hold on a second. There we go. There we go. Sorry about that. So the danger of knowledge, what we're talking about today, because as soon as you go to another seminar, you're going to get more knowledge, and unfortunately, the more you know about a subject, the more you realize that there is a lot more to know about that subject. And if you fill your brain with all the information that represents real estate investing, for instance, then the more books you read on real estate, you begin to realize there's just so much more for me to know. And when do you know enough? When you've got yourself a watermelon brain that's filled with knowledge, but the question is, have you bought any real estate yet? And what people do is they get addicted to knowledge. So I love Ryan Deiss for sharing with us the list of all the books that he recommends we read, but I also want you to realize how dangerous that is. because you could end up reading all 125 of those books. It'd probably take you a couple of years to do it. If you read a book a week, it would take you, take you five years. No, let's see, 2.5 years to read it, if you read a book a week. And if you hadn't done anything with what you'd learned, you'd have 2.5 years of your life gone without having achieved anything. And the danger about knowledge is addicting, meaning as soon as you learn some knowledge, if you have this belief in your mindset, and most people have this belief that I need to know enough. And if you don't know enough, then you don't take action. And therefore, the real question is, when do you know enough? Because there are always more books you could read, and there are always more seminars you could go to. There are always more webinars and Zoominars you could go to. You could go talk to your friends who's successful in an area of your life you've always wanted to be successful in. And he or she could tell you what books that she would recommend, that he would recommend to you. And you'd go read those books, and now you'd pile more information into your brain. And the problem with having more knowledge is if it stops you from taking action, it's a terrible, terrible problem. If it's a habitual problem, in other words, are you always a reader of books, but never not a doer of things? You came to this life to learn and to do, to learn as much as you possibly can learn. That's where I'm going to read at least a book a week. I'm in the middle of Catherine the Great right now, and she's the Tsar about 5 generations away from Peter the Great. And I'm fascinated by her life, and I'm learning a lot about the way she did things, and I'll be done with that book by Friday, and then I'm going to pick another one, and next week I'm going to read another one. But what I'm asking you to do is, do your days, are they filled with learning, or are they filled with doing? Learning is a preparation state. So your reading should be done, in my opinion, should be done during the time every day when you prepare yourself. As my mentor, Stephen Covey, would say, he would say that every day you have to win the private victory, so that in the world you can go out and achieve your daily public victory. So reading and studying and learning is a private victory. But it shouldn't be spent the entire day, unless you're a teacher, or you're going to a university where you have to learn every day. But the point is, most of us are not. We're not in a university. We're in the university of life. And during your preparatory time, which is I call the ritual time, that's the third map of the 4 Maps book that you all should have received. If you haven't received a copy of the 4 Maps book, you can always email me at connect@robertallen.com, and I'll send you one because you're here on this call. But it's the third map, and it's how to prepare yourself to have your daily private victory. But the danger of knowledge is that it extends into your daily public victory. And since you have too much knowledge and not enough action, because the knowledge is addicted you to think you need more knowledge before you can act. So it's like, I don't know enough yet. Well, of course you don't know enough. You will never know enough. There's only one entity in the universe that knows enough, and that's God, who is omnipotent and omniscient and knows everything, right? And ultimately, we want to get there, but it might take us a couple of million years. But in the meantime, while we're here, we have to act because our time is short. We only have so much time to act. And therefore, our responsibility is not to get addicted to knowledge so we're afraid to act. Because knowledge does that to you. It causes you to think you don't know enough. You got it, because as soon as you read that information, what happens is your brain fills up with more knowledge, and now you have a watermelon brain. And what happens is the circumference of the watermelon now comes in contact with more things you don't know. In other words, you go into the narrowest segment of a sliver of knowledge, and you find out there is more than you can learn in your lifetime. There are more books that have been written that'll take you, if you read a book a day, in your lifetime, you couldn't acquire the knowledge on that little sliver of information. And therefore, there has to come a time when you go, tell me what are the classics, the books that I must read. Because we treat these must-read books as just a book. And then we go, okay, I read that one. No, no, no. No, you should memorize that one. That one is so good. It's been one of the classics that every successful person in generation after generation after generation after generation has always said, you got to read that one. And you shouldn't just read it. You should study it and read it many, many times, not just one time. And most of us, we read the book once and we go, oh, I read that one. Yeah, I read that. No, no, you didn't read that one. You didn't apply every bit of knowledge there was that needed to be applied. Have you acted on the knowledge that's in that book? More than likely, the people that I run into, who read lots of books, more than likely they just read the book and they put it on their shelf and they checked it off. Yeah, read that one. But did you study it? Did you apply it? Did you use it? So our conversation today is about what are the classics that you should read over and over and over again in that narrow niche. Well, every arena of your life has books that are classics. Now, for instance, your business might be knitting, knitting. Well, I don't personally, I'm not interested at all in knitting. But if you were knitting, and if that was your passion, and that was the knowledge that you acquired, and if you had a website, was the knitting website, and that all the people who showed up there were the people who were passionate about knitting, you probably could tell me, yeah, there's 1,000 books on knitting, but this is the one. If you could only read one book, this is the one you should read on knitting. And so obviously I have certain passions for myself, and I can tell you in the areas that I'm an expert in the areas that I'm passionate about, I can tell you which are the classic books. But for many of you, since the subject of this call is called Successful People, we're not talking necessarily about money. We're talking about success in all areas of your life. And every one of you would have a list of books in your library on that subject that you're passionate about. And if I were to follow you sneakily into a bookstore one day, I would probably follow you and notice that you make the same path in the bookstore to the same section of books, because that's where you always go. It may not be the first area you go in the bookstore, but you never leave without going to that area. For me, recently, it's been the biography area. And I'm going to go into the biography area, and I'm going to, who haven't I read? Who I want to talk about names that have been that have been famous. So last Christmas they gave me Einstein's book, and I'm not interested in E equals MC squared. I'm not a physicist or a nuclear physicist. My brother would probably like it a lot more, but why would I read Einstein's book? Because he had to be successful at something. He had to follow his passions, and he had to have certain habits and patterns. And I want to glean from that as much as I can. I'm going to skip over some of the really technical stuff, but he was so successful in so many areas of his life that he's been famous. He's been dead for many years, and we still talk about Einstein, don't we? So the question I would ask you is, if I were to follow you in a bookstore, where would be the books you'd go to? Are you just learning when you go there, or are you actually acquiring the skills to take action? Because those are different skills. Because you can read a book, anybody can read a book. And anybody can sit in a seminar. And this is what I found in my own seminars. I'd have people sitting in my seminar, hear the same exact speaker, learn the same exact thing, leave the very next day. One of them would go off to create fortunes. The other one would come to my next seminar. And they go, I don't know enough yet. And they both maybe come to the same seminar, but one person would have purchased 5 properties, and the other person would have gone to the next seminar. And I've always been really fascinated why that is.
Okay,
Why is it that two people can hear the same amounts of information, and one goes and does it, and the other one just learns more?
Oh, do I have
usually
anything?
boils down to the 3 areas of knowledge that I've shared with you when we first started our very first class. This was back in the last week of March. We started our our seminar, thissuccessfulpeople.com. And what I shared with you then, I'll share with all of you again, because it needs repeating. Because as we live in a world of constant new knowledge being poured on us, is the book you're going to read, is that going to become a classic? Why will it become a classic? Because it'll contain information in it in such a way that it's just a book that everybody has to read. It contains more information in a new, unique way. So as I've shared with all of you before, when you learn anything, you've got to realize that in order to succeed, you don't need just the knowledge of it. You know, the knowledge of it is just the first step. And I call that system knowledge. That means, well, if it's knitting, if that's the thing that you're interested in, so how do you knit? How do you hold your hands? Where do you buy the yarn? You know, how many patterns are there to knitting? I'm just making this up, but the point is, there are going to be techniques about how you do it, how you do the knitting thing. When it comes to real estate, there are ways of finding real estate bargains. There are ways of financing those bargains. There are ways of managing those properties. These are all areas I call system knowledge, and that's where most people spend their time. They go read a book and they extract from it the system knowledge, but they don't have the guts or the mindset or the habitual pattern of actually doing what they read or what they study. So there are the two other kinds of knowledge that I think are necessary. The second type of knowledge is people knowledge. And many of you have heard me teach this many, many times, because it's something you gotta always constantly remember. Because if you go read another book and don't do it, don't use it, don't acquire the skill of it and become an expert in it, then you either weren't interested that much, you were just curious. But if you were really, really interested in doing it and don't do it, it's because of these two other skills that most people don't have. They don't have people skills, because you're never going to do this by yourself. And they don't have mindset skills, because they just don't think it. They don't think themselves into it. So how did I, when I was just getting started in my real estate career, for instance, I didn't have a lot of money, $1,000, and I spent it on my first property. So now I had no monthly income, and I had monthly bills. So how did I took the book or two that I'd read, I took a seminar or two that I'd been to, and obviously I didn't know enough. There was a lot more to learn. I could have spent a year at it. I could have gone to university and got a degree in it, but I didn't need a degree. What I needed was to bring some money in the door as fast as I possibly could. And therefore I had to act without enough knowledge. And when you find really successful people, this is their habitual pattern. They are addicted to doing, not to learning. And I hope that's what we're learning here for us together. Are you addicted to learning, or are you addicted to doing? If you're addicted to doing, you will not know enough. There'll be lots of little things that you should know before you actually launch. But you don't have time to wait. You just don't have time. You're going to make some mistakes. And most people are afraid of making mistakes for one of 5 reasons. And the 5 areas of fears are, I remember them because I created a little acronym for myself. The 5 fingers on my hands represent the 5 fears, FEARS. It's an acronym. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, and fear of success. Those are the 5 biggies. And if you haven't taken action, more than likely, one of these fears has frozen you to taking action. And if you're frozen, most people default to the underlying mindset of, I don't know enough. I'm not smart enough. My brain isn't, I need to go to another seminar or read another book. And in my case, I didn't have time to. My bills were coming due the next month, and I needed to act. So I did, and I bought my first little real estate property. I did go to an advisor, a helper, a mentor, and I asked him, should I buy this property? Because he had all the knowledge. See, he had all the skill. He's a multi-millionaire, owned apartments all over California. He moved to Utah to kind of retire, semi-retire. He was in my church group. He was actually a member of our bishopric, is what we call it. And he was there, and a young guy, well, he wasn't that young. He was probably 40, I guess, at that time, 45 or something, 45, 50. And I went up to him and I said, I didn't say it this way, but this is what I'm telling you, saying it the way I'm saying it today. Paul, I don't have time to acquire all the knowledge and all the skill that you have already acquired. You have already proven that you weren't just a learner, but you were also a doer. And I would like to go see your apartment building. So I actually got on a plane. Actually, I think I drove to Camarillo, California, to see his apartment buildings. I wanted to see it for myself. And I went to Camarillo, young guy. Was I still single at that time? I was still single at that time. So that's probably why I took off by myself. I looked at his apartment buildings. Whoa, hundreds of units, beautiful property. Wow. Paul, I can't believe it. Look what you've done. It's not what you knew. It was what you did with what you knew. So I came back and I said, will you mentor me? Will you coach me? Will you guide me? And he didn't like that question. It was because he had a project he was working on. It was in the mountains of southern Utah, and he'd bought some land for recreational property, and he'd subdivided into recreational lots in the middle of the most horrible recession we've had since the last great recession that we had in 2008. His was 1974. And nobody was buying recreational property. Why not? Because they're having trouble making their mortgage payments, let alone buying a vacant piece of land in the middle of the mountains a couple of miles south of where they lived. So he was just having a devil of a time marketing this property. And he said, well, I'll help you if you help me. See, that's a real secret when it comes to finding your mentor. What does your mentor want? Because I guarantee you, your mentor is involved in projects right now that they are fully committed to do. And they need help. Every one of your mentors needs help because they're all involved in a project or two. And so I said to him, let me help you with your project. What do you need? Tell me about it. I have these lands. I went and looked at the properties. I picked out the one that I really liked for myself. I learned everything I could about it. I says, okay, what do I do? He says, go sell it. Go sell it. Sell it for me. I'll give you a commission. Now, I'd had a master's degree in business. I'm supposed to go work at Procter & Gamble and be a brand manager. I spent 2 years on my master's degree and graduated in the worst recession, and nobody was hiring. So guess what? I'm going to follow my passion, which was real estate. And I said I would do real estate on the side if I had a major job working at a corporation. But since nobody will hire me, then I'm just going to go make my own fortune. So that's why I went to Paul, and Paul said, you help me and I'll help you. And so while I was helping him and finding buyers for his properties, and I did, I'd never done that before. I wouldn't call myself good at selling. I didn't have a lot of skill at it, but I talked to everybody I knew and I found a few buyers for him. He was happy. And then I showed him my first property, and I didn't know enough and I didn't have the skill, but Paul did. He told me to buy it. I really did not know what I was doing. I made all kinds of little mistakes, but I bought that property and immediately flipped it and made a chunk of money. I made a chunk of money, and within 90 days, I turned my $1,000 investment into $6,000. That's pretty good for 90 days. And now I went and bought another 7-unit apartment building, and I was on my way, learning the skill and involving other people who became partners with me and who helped me, guided me, people who knew the knowledge and the skill. They had it. So I joint ventured with, or marketed with, or partnered with, or paid money to mentor with, bought the consulting to help me what I needed, the knowledge and the skill. And what I'm suggesting for most of us here on this call is some of you have succeeded in your main area of skill. How did you do it? I'll bet you asked somebody who was doing it, and they probably guided you because they had the knowledge and the skill, and you had neither. Some of you didn't acquire a mentor, and you went and did it by yourself. Just think, well, I think it's the dumbest thing you can do, because without skill and without knowledge, you risked your own money. And more than likely, for those of you, if I were to ask you, you'd say, yeah, I did that by myself and I lost my shirt. A few of you will say, I did it by myself and I figured it out and I made success at it. But you talk to a lot of people who are failures, and they will have launched off by themselves without the knowledge or the skill, failed at it, and never have touched that hot stove again. As Mark Twain said, a cat who once steps on a hot stove never steps on another stove again, hot or cold. And for those of you who that was the case for you, if you made the decision that you weren't going to ever do that again, I want to ask you to reconsider. Just like Benjamin Hardy a couple of weeks ago told us that personality is not permanent. Your experience isn't permanent either. That means if you've tried something and failed at it, doesn't mean that you are permanently scarred from ever doing that again. You can learn from your failure and do it again and learn more this time, or maybe involved some kind of a mentorship program for you to do it. When I went and launched my recent online investment program, a marketing program on how to write a book, I went and found a person who knows more about internet marketing than I will ever know. I had basic knowledge about it, but no real knowledge and no real skill. So I acquired a partnership, and we partnered together to earn profits together, where I bring in my skill and he brings in his skill, and then we partner. We get fit. So we're going to be 10 times bigger than if I were just to do it all by myself and figure it out. Because I could figure out the internet marketing thing. If I really were to apply myself to it, it'd take me a year maybe. A lot of lost money, a lot of expensive lessons, right? But I can figure it out. You know why I don't want to figure it out? Because I'm not passionate about it. It's not my piece of cake. It doesn't keep me up at night wondering and worrying about it, thinking about it, processing it, studying, reading all the books, being addicted to that type of knowledge like I was addicted to real estate. I studied everything I could get my hands on because I was passionate about it. I'm not as passionate about the internet marketing side as I'm about creating the books to sell on the internet. So I partner with somebody who has the passion about it. This whole discussion today is about knowledge. And if you look on your bookshelf, all the books you have on your own bookshelf, or maybe it's on your Kindle or on your iPad, are you constantly learning and not doing? If so, I need you to catch yourself right now and to say to yourself, what do you want to accomplish? Like really get done. That's why the Formats book talks about dones, talks about ideals, talks about musts. These are things that are inherently, that you are inherently addicted to. You're so addicted that you must do something about it every day. You're so addicted to it, you must get it done this year. You're so addicted to it that it's ideal that you live this kind of lifestyle, and you're willing to commit to it, and you're willing to say no to everything else. That's the kind of knowledge that I want you to have, that I want you to focus on. It's almost, you need to say to the whole list of those 175 books that Ryan Deiss recommended that we read, you could probably narrow that list down to 5 or 6 books that you should always read several times and memorize a few principles from them. So obviously the one in Mindset is Think and Grow Rich. So there are 13 principles. I know those principles backwards and forwards. And I think in our first call, I challenged all of you to remember those principles backwards and forwards. This was 90 days ago, and some of you are still here and some of you are gone. But those principles are so important to me that I've read Think and Grow Rich many times, and I know the principles backwards and forwards, you know, desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, decision, organized planning, persistence, the power of the mastermind, the mystery of sex transmutation, the brain, the subconscious mind, the sixth sense. And I know those principles because they are so important. I want to memorize those principles. And I'm going to find a few of those principles in these other 175 books. Because they'll always mention a few critical pieces of knowledge, and then the rest of it is filled with lots of fluff. Just extra stories that the writer wrote. Extra ways of them seeing or calling the principles in his or her different unique name, but fundamentally they are the same as the ones that are in Think and Grow Rich, the 13 principles of Think and Grow Rich. I would do just as well by memorizing Think and Grow Rich than I will be about reading one of 1,000 other personal growth books that will be printed and published and sold over the next year, over your lifetime. And most of them, there'll be just a few classics. And those classics. So the question I'm going to ask you here today is, in the areas of your life where you must succeed, when you get done with the rest of your life, I don't think they're going to ask you how many books you read. They're going to probably ask you, what did you get done? What does your life stand for? You go to somebody's, what do they call it? The description of a person who just died,
Obituary.
Obituary.
the obituary. Thank you very much.
Epitaph.
What does your obituary look like? Yeah, I think you should write it right now. What does it look like? The loving father, loving mother of yada, yada, yada. What's your big, I can guarantee you they won't say, had a big library or read 1,275 books. I've never read an obituary like that, have you? Maybe there's one or two, but generally speaking, no, it's not. They might mention your degrees, you know, a PhD or a master's degree or a bachelor's degree. They might mention that. What are they going to mention? They're going to mention things you did. More than likely. Well, open up your obituaries today. Just go up and look at on obituary.com and go look at a couple and read them and say, what are they going to say about me? What will they say? Probably will happen subtly. Hopefully it'll happen suddenly. So it won't happen a long drawn out death. It takes you 5 or 6 years to go. You'd like to, you know, at least me, suddenly. So more than likely there won't be somebody to write the obituary. They're just going to have to kind of pull together. They get the family together and they go, gosh, what are we going to write in this obituary? And they're going to pull together some things that you accomplished. Probably there'll be the names of your children. They'll probably be there. And the names of your grandchildren. My children haven't reproduced yet. So if I were to die today, we wouldn't have any of those. And I want them to realize that if they ever watch this. Hint, hint. But so what else are they going to mention? Owned a business maybe that marketed what to so many customers, you know, changed so many lives, was a loving person. They might not mention the secret things you did, because there'll be some secret things you do that nobody will know about. I'm talking about the positive things you do, not the things you'd be embarrassed about. The things you would go, well, you know, you left that $100 tip for that waitress because you knew she needed it. Nobody would know except the waitress. And by that time, you're long gone. She won't know who you are, or he won't know who you are. And it's just, they won't know about that envelope you left in their mailbox with some $100 bills. They won't know about that. Nobody will know about that. The only people know about that will be kind of the people who are watching invisibly, watching you do that. So I personally have that as a belief system. But a lot of things that will not be in your obituary, but you'd like to make sure they got done. But the public things that you do will be things that you do, not that you learn. So in order to do lots of things, let me tell you the secret to it. You must be willing to look foolish. That's one of the fears. That's the fear of embarrassment. Fear number 2. Most people have that in a big way because they want to be perfect. They don't want to make any mistakes, because if they make mistakes, then everybody will find out and they'll be embarrassed. Therefore, they don't do anything. And therefore, not doing nothing means they have 100% failure at the thing they didn't do. Isn't that what not doing something is? 100% failure. At least if they tried, they might have learned something and there would have been something to glean from that failure. But since they didn't do anything, they gleaned nothing from it. Ooh. So what I want you to be in the habit of is doing. Be careful about doing by yourself without knowledge or without skill. It'd be nice if you could bring somebody along who'd done it before. You can hire a mentor. You can find a friend of yours who's done it before. Like I found this friend of mine who was in my church group, and I went up to him and I said, Paul, I need some help. Will you guide me? And he said, yes. And he didn't pay me a dime, didn't pay me any money. It's just somebody I knew. So I went up to him and I asked him to. People ask me to do that all the time. And usually I say no. I have a business where I consult and mentor people. But sometimes if a person is a friend of mine, they say, I need a little extra help. I'll say, sure. Let's meet. Let's get together. Let's have lunch. And so, yeah, I guide people like that. But usually they're people that I know, people that I'm very familiar with. They're in my inner circle. This conversation is about today you deciding what must get done within 5 years or less. And they're having the courage to only read the books that would take you there. Having the courage to say no to 175 books if the books that you should read are not on that list. And this is the Ryan Deiss list that I mentioned to you. Because reading lots of books just takes time. You don't have time. You either read a classic book that has all the pieces of information you think you need, read those books during your private time, and then during your daily public victory, that's when you're going to make a fool of yourself. Because as you act and take little action every day, you'll be connecting and interfacing with real people where there'll be the real possibility that you will embarrass yourself by the questions you ask and by the actions that you take. Especially if those actions lead to failure, that is the fear of embarrassment and the fear of failure. And if that stops you, you got to get over that. You got to hire somebody to do the things you hate to do or you're afraid to do. You can always hire somebody. You can hire an employee, somebody who just tell them what to do. Usually when I back in my early part of my career, when I was afraid to do a technique that I'd learned, I hired somebody to go do it. I tell them, this is what you do, realizing that in my own mind, I wouldn't dare do that. So I went to the BYU master's degree program here, and I hired the #1 graduate student during the summer. There's a 2-year program. During the summertime, everybody goes and gets jobs, and I hired the #1 person in the class. His name was Rex. And I said, Rex, I need you to go look for some real estate for me, and I'll teach you the techniques, because my interfacing with people and having rejection was really kind of weak at that point. So I hired somebody to go do it. Paid him 0 money, but gave him, I think it was 15 or 20% of the profit we earned. And so he made a lot more money that summer than all the other people who were working at summertime jobs. And I paid 0 money for the #1 person in the class to do the things that I was afraid to do, to gain the knowledge and the skill that in some areas, some of those areas I did not have. everyone on this call, I think about you every week. I'm looking forward to our call next week as we go deeper into some of this information. Eventually, what I'm going to do with this call is I'm going to limit it to 100 people. I'm going to limit to what my 100 fans, my 100 super fans. Right now, we have about 100 people on the call right now. As this call grows and gains more popularity, so I can get to know you better, I'm going to actually give you a password to get in so only you can get in. Right now, this is available to anybody and to those who are purchased my programs. But eventually, over probably the next 90 days, you're going to see a new way we're doing this class. But in the meantime, I wish you well, everybody. Hope you had a good conversation today. What was your aha today? What did you learn today that would be helpful and valuable to you? As we go forward, you can either put it in the chat, or I've unmuted everybody. You can just come out and say, you have to unmute yourself, by the way. You tell me, what did you learn from today's call that you can do, not to learn, but to do, to take action on?
Alan,
Anybody want to share it with me?
Learning
Bob,
your
it's Nikki.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. So the biggest thing I got was the danger of knowledge is it makes you think you don't know enough to move forward and take action. And I have been stuck in that myself. Fortunately, being in your idea to income class, I'm getting out of my own way and also like clearing some other stuff. This, I got to tell you, Benjamin Hardy's book. Oh my God. Holy cow. One of the most.
good.
Can I just read this little piece?
What, are you going to
When
pick
our
up the milk?
trauma is
Tell you what I'm going
unresolved.
to do, Nikki. Hold on just a second. I'm going to
Okay.
mute everybody. Now, everyone is muted, so so if you want to come out, you just unmute yourself by clicking on the little microphone on the bottom left-hand side. So thank you, Nikki. It's a great book, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh my God. You know what? Normally I read faster than this, but I'm underlining almost every line.
Yeah, you
crazy.
can't read this one fast. It's true.
No, you can't. But what really got me was when our trauma is unresolved, we stop moving forward in our lives. We become emotionally rigid and shut off. Thus, stop learning, evolving, and changing. As such, our past becomes rigid as well, and our memories persist in an unchanging and painful way. And what I love about this is what I do as well. Like, this is my business. So I help people to get unstuck. And I'm just saying, I'm willing to do a free session with anybody who wants to get unstuck.
There we go, Nikki. Well, Nikki's in the participants here, so you can communicate with her directly. Thank you, Nikki. What else? What else did anybody learn? What's your aha today that you're going to do?
I got one.
Unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, this is Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Yeah, a while ago, I wanted to participate in your course about writing books, but I didn't get along with whoever was about a payment plan. I wondered if you still have the course or what's going on with that.
Sam, that course is closing up. It hasn't completely closed, but it will within the next couple of weeks. We're going to go to a different way of doing it. So I tell you what, Sam, what you might want to do, just send me an email at connect@robertallen.com, and I'll put you in touch with the right people, okay?
Oh, can you repeat the email, please?
connect@robertallen.com.
Yeah, because I'm finishing my book, so I need your help.
All right, we'll help you, Sam. Well,
Thank
let's help you make it a bestseller, not just a book. We want to make it a bestseller.
It will be massive.
Your ahas, questions, thoughts, unmute yourself. Come on out and say hi, Bob.
Robert, I love that you said to be willing to look foolish.
Yes. Who said that?
Damien.
Take action. Bob, for me,
Yeah.
it's Peggy here.
Hi, Peggy.
You know, I'm just trying to learn the whole world of internet business, which is, I didn't know anything about that before. So even to learn the basics is, a lot. But it was so reassuring to hear you say that, we're never going to know it all.
Never.
You just have to start. And yes, you may make some mistakes. You may look ridiculous, but you're never going to get to the point of knowing everything. So don't let that hold you back. That was incredibly reassuring.
Thank you. What an idiotic thing to say. You must be really stupid to say something like that.
Bob.
Okay, who said bow? Hi, Laurel.
Hi. So I love your 5 fingers. The
What are they? What are they?
It's FEARS.
What
So-
are they?
Fears. So, fear? No. Fear? Failure.
Failure, embarrassment, abandonment,
Rejection.
rejection, success. How many people are afraid of success?
I think success, yeah. That's it. Failure. Embarrassment.
Yeah,
What's the
abandonment,
A? Pardon?
abandonment,
Abandonment, rejection, and success.
Thank you, Laurel.
Thank
You
you.
got it. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
Bob.
good. Who's next?
Charles.
Charles?
Yes. Hi, Bob.
Hey,
How are you,
Charles.
buddy?
Hey, my friend.
How are you doing?
Great.
Wonderful.
Emails.
Tell you what, yeah, the emails are going great. What I learned today from you, Bob, is how you got started. And that was very courageous the way you did it. Because you had to do it.
I had to.
You had no choice. And also I learned that based on being a doer versus a learner or a combination, that you reinforce, that's what I do anyway.
Yeah.
You just, yeah. Because I'll read a book like 1 Minute Millionaire and go out and put it to work.
There you go.
Like Release Your Brakes. Or like personality is not permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been taking business courses. I haven't read the book, but I've been taking his courses.
Good.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody. I'm going to mute everybody again because they've still got some noise. If you want to come out, unmute yourself and come on out and say hi, Bob.
Hey, Bob, it's Victoria.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi, lots of good nuggets here, but the biggest one for me was when you said reconsider. I just had a huge failure. We lost all our money, almost lost our home. So we're in the depths of things. But I took a step of faith and decided to join your class, the Ideas to Income class. And I love what you said, reconsider. Like, don't stop when you fail. Learn from your failure and do it again. I was really hesitant, but it's really, what's the word? Taking no action will kill your faith, but taking action freaks you out. Taking action will freak you out, but it's like destiny, right? It'll always call you beyond what you can handle. So that was really great.
I like the way you said it. Taking no action will destroy your faith. Ooh, nice.
Bob,
yeah, who's that?
It's Jasmine. Off the top of your head, based on your book, Multiple Streams of Income, that I'm reading and listening to, is there anything that you think that you would add, or do you feel like it's perfect just the way it is?
Yeah. I'm looking for you, Jasmine. I'm trying to find your picture. Maybe there isn't a picture. Oh, probably not.
I normally have my video on, but I'm tired today. So no video today.
I see you. Okay, JAS. Well, good. I'm glad you're doing that. There's the problem with multiple streams of income and the book itself is there are 10 different ways of making money. And they're very specific and they're very system oriented. And in the multiple streams of income, there is no knowledge about people knowledge. There's no mindset knowledge. It's only system knowledge. So somebody who is able to do what I've taught them on that book can do it. But a lot of people read the book and get overwhelmed. They go, I just don't know which one to pick. And so by not picking anything, they fail at everything. And we don't want that to happen for you. All right, any other questions, comments?
Yes, Bob, this is Lawrence. How you doing this morning? This afternoon now.
How you doing, Lawrence?
Fantastic. Listen, you talked about some classic books. Did you pick 5 of the classics that you post anywhere?
I do. I taught a session on the classics a while ago.
Is it in our member content in idea to income?
Yeah, it could be back there. I'll just give you off the top of my hand 4 or 5 that I always recommend that people read. Number 1 is Think and Grow Rich. Number 2 is it's in the mindset category. And in the system knowledge, multiple streams of income, I think it's the best book that's ever been written on that subject.
4 map
so read
books,
that
Bob.
one. And 4 Maps is on mindset too.
Yeah.
4 Maps is
that.
good. It's kind of a companion to Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
It is simpler than Think and Grow Rich. And if you'll draw the maps, if you'll do what I tell you to do every day, it will build the skill. Whereas you can read Think and Grow Rich and not build a skill. So that's the difference between those 2 books. Mine is more modern, obviously, 4 Maps, and then Think and Grow Rich. The people knowledge is Influence by Cialdini, and I'm gonna say that every time. It's a book you should read if you're into persuading people, understanding how to sell without being a salesperson, letting the principles do the work for you instead of you doing the work. It's a very powerful book. It's a very scientific book. A lot of college research in there, but to apply it to any sales situation, very, very powerful. That book has made me probably, I don't have it all today, but probably made me $20 million. That one book.
What is it called?
Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini, Cialdini, Dr. Robert Cialdini. It's a book that should be read over and over again. When it comes to system knowledge, that's technique-y books, and obviously Think and Grow, or Multiple Streams of Income, my book on that subject. I think find me a better one. There are very few books on how to make money out there. They're usually mindset oriented. And so you'll read the book and you go, this is all rah, rah, rah. You know, where's the technique? Where's the muscle? Where's the system? You know, where is it? And so that's Multiple Streams of Income is just filled, jam-packed with systems. Somebody else tell me another money making. Well, see, I'm saying money here is my narrow niche, but for all of you, you might have a different niche. It might be growing alpacas, for instance, as one of our students on the Idea to Income course. It might be a totally different way of succeeding. So what is the system of the success you want to achieve? If it's money, Multiple Streams of Income is your book. It is, no doubt about it.
Nothing Down is one, Bob.
Nothing Down on Real Estate is just, it's very systematic. Yep, very systemy.
I just
hi, this is Michelle.
Was that? Give me another one.
I just
Hi,
wanted
Bob.
to
This is
Hi, Michelle. What's your suggestion?
I found one that's really interesting for me, and that's Psycho-Cybernetics.
Great book. Yep, it hasn't been renewed recently. I read that when I was 19 years old. Actually, when I was a missionary in Tahiti, learning how to speak French and Tahitian at the same time. Think and Grow, or Cybernetics was a book I read in my spare time, which was very little. Yeah, great book. Thank you. Anybody else? What other books would you recommend? Somebody else, come on up, tell me, or put it in the chat.
Bob, it's Peggy. I just want to make a recommendation. You know, when you're talking about don't let books overtake your doing,
yeah.
Corollary to that I found, and I found that coming to your classes and everything, and with every great mentor, rather than trying to have a million mentors, I have found it very important to restrict myself and to hear over and over the mentors that I really resonate with, to hear what they say over and over. Sometimes it doesn't take, because every time they teach the same thing, they come at a different angle. And sometimes it isn't until I hear it from them the 10th time that suddenly all the other pieces they've said on that clink into place like a combination on a vault. Yeah. And so I say that because that is what enables you to do the doing, is the understanding.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Yep.
Bob,
I just
can I
wanted
make
to
one
make a comment.
recommendation? One
Yeah,
of my
sure.
favorites is Ask and It Is Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks.
Hicks, yep. I've heard a lot of people say that. I have it, but I have not read it yet.
It's
Thank
really
you.
great for pivoting and shifting mindset and emotional state. Because you know when your
Okay, so
emotions, yeah, sorry.
as we
I'm so
as we
excited.
leave today, in the chat, you cannot leave until you've typed in your favorite book that you think is a classic, that is a book that should be read, maybe to the exclusion of all the other books in that same niche. So that's your permission to leave. You have to type in the chat before you go. As you go, okay, Power of Prayer by Catherine Ponder. Yep, good one. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yep. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's a mindset book. Yep, very good. Think about good. Everybody, keep it coming. That's it. Great. Every single person. Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. Yes. Psycho-Cybernetics. Yes. Science of Getting Rich by Waddles. Wayne Dyer. Yes. Falling to Heaven. Nice. The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. That was very popular a few years ago. Richest Man in Babylon. Yeah, that one I've read over and over again. Yep. Yeah. Oh, good. Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. Probably got that one for free. Bird by Bird. Oh, that's a sweet one. Bird by Bird. That's a real sweet one. She writes so good. She's a brilliant writer. Bird by Bird. Good one. Plato's Republic. Haven't read that one yet, but I've heard a lot about that one. Well, Brian Tracy has written 80 books, as he was on our Successful People call here a few weeks ago. As a Man Thinketh. Yes, good. Jim Rohn, any one of his books. Illusions by Richard Bach, and the Seagull book. Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Great book. The Obstacle is the Way. Nice. Prayer of Jabez. Yep. Awesome suggestions. Thank you, everybody. You all done? Okay, as soon as you've finished, as soon as you've written your book, you can go bye-bye.
Hey, Bob.
You can leave.
Hey,
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah.
Bob, I'm sorry. Well, my name is Michael. I want to know, how do we get a hold of your password for later session?
My past work?
Yeah, that we can get on your call.
Any Amazon? Oh, I see.
Password.
Yeah, I offered the Think and Grow Rich audios to every one of you, didn't I? I think I did.
I think he's asking for the password for your future calls.
Oh.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh,
That's correct.
okay. I did not understand your question. You'll know whether you'll be invited or not. You'll be given a password. If you don't hear about me and you can't get in, there'll be a reason for that. Okay. Okay, good. Yes.
Can I say something? Can you hear me?
Sure.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you for this today. And this was a good swift kick in the pants for me because I love to read. And sometimes I think almost reading is an easy way out, but I'm curious, always been curious, and I love to keep learning.
Yes.
So
it is
this was important because I need to get out and do, and I love doing, but sometimes I need to just have someone, take me by the hand or listen to these words. So I'm so grateful for listening to you and that you're doing this every week. I'm very appreciative and grateful.
Yeah, they say that reading a book is a shortcut to success, but for a lot of people, it ends up being the long cut.
It does.
Because they get into it and they go, I don't know enough. I got to go read another book on it.
Exactly.
So it's a long cut. Yeah. The shortcut is to take a few ideas out of a book and go do it. That's the shortcut. Doing is a shortcut. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Judith. All right, everybody. If you've entered your book here, you can leave now. My best to you. God bless. See all of you on Idea to Income class will be next Wednesday, where we'll continue to go through those covers you showed me. Wow. Nick and I were so blown away by your covers. There are some definite bestsellers in there. See y'all. Love you. God bless.
I love you.
Thank you,
Thank-
Bob. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
You're awesome.
Thank you, Bob. It was fun to be here.
You're awesome.
See you next week, Bob.
You're awesome.
You're awesome too.
Thank you so much.
Phenomenal class. Phenomenal.